Of course, better heat retention means you're burning less charcoal, and burning less charcoal means you're saving a lot of money. 151 internal versus 137. The big difference I see right away is this fat is nowhere near as rendered. It's absolutely divine, guys. That is fantastic brisket. All right, folks, another Weber Kettle accessory I can't wait to show you and try it myself. It's called the Woolly Bully. Now, if you're not familiar with the Woolly Bully, it's actually an insulated jacket that goes over the dome lid of your Weber Kettle and helps improve your heat retention. Of course, better heat retention means you're burning less charcoal, and burning less charcoal means you're saving a lot of money, and that's always a win, right? So we've seen a number of videos that show this. So today I'm gonna go a step further, and I'm gonna do a head-to-head comparison between a Weber Kettle with the Woolly Bully and a Weber Kettle without the Woolly Bully, and we're gonna smoke two similarly sized briskets and see if the Woolly Bully helps us make a better brisket. But now let me define better. I don't just mean does it taste better, I mean is the whole brisket experience better. We'll look at things like how quickly does it render fat? Is it more tender? How quickly does it cook the whole thing? Is it more juicy? What kind of bark formation do you get? What kind of smoke ring do you get? We'll look at all sorts of different things, and we'll find out what the Woolly Bully is all about. Let's go. All right, y'all, it's gonna rain as you can tell, but I'm not gonna complain because I know in a couple weeks we're gonna need the rain. So no complaints. But we are gonna go ahead and do this today because of the fact I've already trimmed both briskets and I've got Grumpy's Amped all-purpose rub on them, and they've been in the fridge all night dry brining. We're doing this today. So here's our setup. On this side will be the Weber Kettle with the Woolly Bully, and over here will be our kettle without the Woolly Bully. We're gonna smoke at 225 degrees for the first couple hours. We've got smoke and sizzles in both the kettles. We're using some post oak wood, and we're using B&B briquettes because it's much easier to manage that temperature, and I'm gonna keep it even on both kettles the best I can. So once our kettles get to 225, I'll bring our briskets out and put them on. Here's our two briskets. They're 18 pounds pre-trimmed, very similar size, very similarly shaped. I'm gonna guess they're 11 or 12 pounds now, trimmed quite a bit off of them. But the biggest thing is they just came out of the fridge, so they're probably 35 to 38 degrees, and that's what I want because I want to be able to test the capability of the Woolly Bully kettle to form a smoke ring. Now they're both gonna form a smoke ring, but will the Woolly Bully one form a better one, the same as, that kind of thing? We're gonna check that. Now there's no difference in taste with a smoke ring, but it's a good visual for us to see if the Woolly Bully does a really good job with maintaining that heat and retaining that heat in those gases so you get that gas exchange. Matter of fact, I'll throw a graphic on the screen now that shows you all about the smoke and how it's formed. The biggest thing is there's gas exchange, nitric oxide will exchange. As long as the meat is below 140 degrees, you'll form smoke rings. So we're starting at 35 or 38 degrees. We've got quite a bit of room to form a smoke ring. Will the Woolly Bully form a better one or the same as the other? We'll check and see. I'll get them on the kettle now, put the thermometers in, and we'll see what we're starting. Now, normally I like to leave this open, but I'm having to close it some with the Woolly Bully, which is no problem. Then we're testing, right? We'll see how that works. But my goal is to get this all the way open, but right now I'm having to close it down about a quarter of the way open to maintain temperature at around the 225 mark. Now I put the decal, the fat side, towards the fire to help protect it a little bit. I'm gonna put this thermometer right in the middle pretty much. I don't want to go too far. I'm just gonna go to the side here. Let's drop it down to 40. So it's about 140, about at 40 degrees. We'll get a lid back on here real quick. As always, we'll put our top dome grate or vent over the meat, so we'll pull that smoke and flavoring over that. So starting at 38 degrees, like I said, 35 to 38 degrees is where I thought the internal temperature would be. So a perfect timing to check our smoke ring with this. We'll make sure we look at that as we get closer to the time when we go cut this thing open. So now let's get the other one on. All right, folks, here we go with our other brisket on the other kettle without the Woolly Bully. All right, so let's get our thermometer in. Check where we are temperature-wise. It's dropping down a little slower moving on that thermometer, but that's okay. All right, guys, let's get our lid on. Also, once again, we're putting the dome vent this way. We're dropping down temperature-wise as well. Dropping down to 46, so it's a little bit warmer, but still about 100 degrees. It's got room to check the temperature for it could make a smoke ring. So I'll bring you guys back when there's something to talk about. At this point, we've got both briskets on. We're gonna let them go for a couple hours at 225. Check things then, and we'll see how we're going. So I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, folks, we are about 2 hours and just short of 2 hours in. Take a real quick glance at these. You see our temperature, and I'm sorry the last one was blurry, guys. I'm not a photographer. I'm a meat smoking guy, so I had some issues with the wrong lens, but nonetheless, we're good now. So there's our temperature. We're 227 internal, or cooking temperature, and 84 degree internal. Take a quick look. I'm just gonna look real quick and put it back, okay? Got some good color starting to form. Real pleased with that. That looks really good. So we're gonna keep going right there. Woolly Bully's held well. I mean, it's been a really good temperature. I mean, I've held right at 225, 230 the entire time. So, all right, guys, here's the other kettle, of course. I'd let you know, I changed thermometers because I was having trouble with this one. I thought reading the internal temperature of the meat read really high for some reason. So I switched over to my Typher. Well, Typher's on 107 degrees internal on this one and 86 degrees internal on the Woolly Bully one. I'm shocked by that. I thought that one, the Inkbird was wrong, but apparently it's pretty close. So let's take a look at the brisket, see what it looks like. Again, good color starting. It's just been a couple hours. That fat is obviously not ready to do anything with it. Obviously, enough bark's not set at all. Of course, only been 2 hours, but get a good look at it. Temperature's reading a little high because I had to, now it's down low, but I'd opened it up to put that thermometer in, the Typher in, and of course I got air in there and got a little high. So it'll come back down to 225, I feel certain. We'll keep going, guys, another couple of hours. We may take a look then. I may spritz the sides and things like that. I'll do everything the same, but nothing different because of the Woolly Bully at this point. All right, folks, we're now at the 4-hour mark. Our temperature ambient right now is 236. It's up a little bit. I think I caught a piece of wood on fire recently, which I'm okay with 236 either way. It's not that big a difference. And our internal temperature is now flip-flopped. Beforehand, this one was a little lower than the other one, but now this one's higher. It's 151 versus 137 on the other kettle. 151 internal versus 137. I want to take the lid off, inspect the brisket. I have gloves on only because I don't know if I have to touch it or not. I always have to do that first. I put gloves. If I don't touch it, I take the gloves off carefully and don't waste them. But this way, you always have gloves on before you open your lid. You'll know if you have to touch anything, you're ready to go. So I've got my thermopen as well. I want to check the temperature in a couple of different places, and I'm going to spritz with some apple cider vinegar and some water mixture. So take the lid off, move it out of our way so we can see better. All right, we got really good color. I do like the color of this thing a lot right now. Now we do have some drainage there. I was afraid I would because this side right here was a little bit thin. This corner is a little bit thin, so it's going to curl up a little bit. And it's going to cause us to have some drainage right there, some pooling right there. Pretty typical with the brisket though. I don't like to do that, but it happens sometimes. So now we're going to go ahead and spritz. I think I'm going to spritz it. I don't like to spritz the top because the fat, I want the fat to stay. I want it to start continuing to render. I don't want to spray it, keep it wet, or it won't render. So I want to spray the sides up a little bit. The front edge there, let's see. Just get a little bit of it sprayed here. Again, this is just 50-50 water, apple cider vinegar, and get some spraying on there. So now let's check the temperature from our thermopen and see what it shows it to be. 154, 153, 152, 145, 144 actually back here in the point, 143 actually, 42 back here in the point. It's a little bit cooler back there in the point. 155 again right there to 154 right in the middle. So moving right along, doing really well. We've burnt, very little charcoal as we expected because of the Woolly Bully. Held temperature very, very well, maintained very well. So, and that is the Woolly Bully at 4 hours. Like I said, I don't see anything different right now. Nothing really check. Oh, let's check the bark. Let's see how the bark's doing. I want to do that anyway. I want to see. That's one thing I want to check and see if. All right, guys. I mean, it's actually. Well, if you probably can't see it. There's only just a little bit of rub coming off my fingers. It's not far from being set. Definitely want to close that up. So I would say maybe another hour or so that bark might be set. We may go to 250. We're going to check that in about maybe 30 minutes. We'll see where we're at. I got a little bit of grain off my finger from the bark, but not much. So it's actually very close. So all right. So our temperature here is 229. Internal is 137, like we said a minute ago. So let's take the lid off here and look at this one. Not quite as dark as the other one. Looks really good, but not as dark as the other one. Not as much color on there. We are going to spritz this one too. This front edge has some color on it, but nothing bad. I mean, this is really good, guys. It looks really, really good. It's not as dark as I thought it'd be. Check the temperature on this one too, as well as with ThermoPro. 137, 138. Back here in the point, 141. Point's a little further on the flat here. We're at 145. Dead center, like I said, 139. So 147. So we're right around 140 average. So that's about what we expect as well. This one was not quite as thin on the end, so it's not going to curl up as bad. I don't think we probably shouldn't get much pooling on this one. And we've burned a little more charcoal. We're about a third of the way through the charcoal, maybe almost half actually. But nonetheless, we're good to go. We've burned less charcoal, no doubt about that, on this one than we have on the other one, just visually. Now, I didn't weigh the charcoal and measure all that stuff, guys. I did not do that. I have turned it down a little bit occasionally to keep the temperature stable. I like to leave this lid open completely all the time. I'll open it back up now so we can get back up to temperature. But it's going cruising right along here, guys. No problem. 4 hours in. Man, I tell you, guys, these are both very close to being set. There's very little coming off my fingers. I don't know if you can see there's a little bit, but nothing serious at all. So in 30 minutes or so, I think I will turn up to 150. I won't bring you back for that. All I'll do is open the vent up a little bit on the bottom. We'll go to 150 now, and we'll cruise from there, and I'll bring you guys back when it's probably close to time to go ahead and wrap, which I don't do anything wrapping wise until that fat on top is ready to is going to poke your finger into it. Really gets real pillowy on top. I don't wrap at 160. I'm usually about 180. I'll wrap them. Right now, the Woolly Bully brisket is it's 151 degrees. It'll probably get to 180 faster. But again, I'm not looking at temp, I'm just looking at the tenderness or how much that fat is rendered on top and how much I can push down on it and get through it. So we'll look at it then. It'll be another hour, probably 2 or 3 hours maybe, but we'll come to that point. I'll let you know. All right, folks, we're going about 6.5 hours now, and we're at about 170 degrees internal here on the one in the Woolly Bully. Hope you can see that. 170. I'm gonna take the lid off. We're gonna feel the fat and see if it's rendering, how well it is, and we'll decide then what to do. I know it's not gonna be quite ready to wrap, but we'll take a look at it and see how soft and tender that fat is, see if it's rendered very well. So give me a minute, we'll get a little closer look. Let's take the lid off here and look. Now I've already looked once, or I wouldn't be doing this, of course. You'll see that got some drainage going on, there's some pooling steel. But once you look at it, hopefully you can see how soft and tender that fat is. It's not fully rendered yet, but it's darn close. Really close. For 6.5 hours, that's really good. Temperature, like I said, is 170. Back here, there's a lot of fat back here, of course, on the point, so it's going to be definitely, hopefully you can see it bouncy there. But when I put my finger in and go through it, it'll be ready to wrap. And it's not quite there, but another hour maybe it'll be ready to go. I'm hoping that no longer than that. Like right there's a big clump of fat. It's very soft. But even here, this fat over top of the meat that's you know, just the surface fat is really rendering very well. So this is the Woolly Bully, and it's been 6.5 hours, and we're getting a really good fat render, a little quicker than the other one. Let's take a look at the other one and see where we're at there. All right, folks, this kettle internal temperature shows 145, so about almost 30 degrees cooler than the other one. I don't know why. They've both been at the same temperature at the same amount of time, but there's a 30-degree difference in internal temperature. Let's take a look at this one and see what we think. All right, here we go. Now, there's a little bit of pooling in this one, not much to talk of, just a little bit. The big difference I see right away is this fat is nowhere near as rendered as that fat, of course. It's 145, it's 30 degrees cooler. Has not rendered nearly as well as that one has. Now there's differences in briskets and so forth, but we're talking 30-degree difference in temperature, and we're talking about a lot of difference in the fat render. I don't know why. We'll dive into it a little bit deeper as we go on, but nonetheless, we'll go ahead and let this keep on cooking, and then I'm gonna wrap these as they get ready to wrap. I mean, the Woolly Bully will wrap way before this one will, but we'll keep on cooking and mark that time down and go from there. All right, y'all, the Woolly Bully brisket is ready to wrap. It's reached 179, but more importantly, that fat is rendered very well. It pops under my finger. Feels great. We're gonna bring it over, put it onto the table here, and wrap it in some butcher paper. All right, one thing I like to do beforehand is spray my butcher paper with some apple cider vinegar water mix. Now there's two reasons for that. One, it makes the paper much more easy to work with, makes it more pliable. And two, which is probably just as much as important as that, probably even more so, is it prevents your brisket from sticking too badly to your paper. The acid of the apple cider vinegar prevents it sticking really bad. So let's grab the brisket and bring it over. Strain it off here a little bit. Looks really good, guys. I'm real pleased with the way it looks so far. Now I'll pull our probe out, but I'll put it back in momentarily. I am going to do a little bit of Wagyu beef tallow on here. I'll do the same thing on the other one as well, of course. Don't want a whole lot, just enough. One thing I've learned about briskets and wrapping them is you want the least amount of paper you can use. Makes it much easier to stick your probe back in. And we're ready to go. Now we're going to put this back onto the Woolly Bully kettle. And we're going to go till it's finished. Probably about another, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours maybe. Depends on how long it takes to go, but we'll watch it. And like I said, it's right at 180, 179 I think is what the temperature was at. When it gets to 203, we'll check again, see where we're at. We'll see you guys in a bit. Now we've got the other one to go still. It's still nowhere near ready, but this one is. We'll put it back on the kettle. All right, y'all, I just put the brisket we wrapped back onto the Weber kettle with the Woolly Bully. I forgot to tell you, we're going to go to 275 degrees. Now that's how I finish my briskets once I wrap them. I go to 275 degrees and let them finish out from there. That's what we're going to do. All right, y'all. I'm kind of filming this as a precaution because I'm pretty sure it's going to get dark before we finish. We've been smoking 10.5 hours now, and I still have not been able to wrap the brisket on the non-Woolly Bully kettle. It's at 162 degrees, and it's going slow. The salt has a real hold on that one, so we're going to wait it out and be patient like we're supposed to. Now, the kettle with the Woolly Bully on it, that brisket we wrapped a couple of hours ago. It's 190 degrees now, headed towards 200. Once it gets to 200, we'll then test it for probe tenderness throughout the brisket. Once it's finished, we'll pull it off and put it into the warming cabinet at 150 degrees until tomorrow. Same with this one. When it finishes, we'll pull it off, put it in the warming cabinet until tomorrow. We'll test them both around lunchtime. Now, something else that's very important I want to let you guys know. When Max and Audrey, the owners of the Woolly Bully, approached me about doing a review, they're fantastic people, by the way. When they approached me to do this review, I said I'd be glad to with one condition. I wanted those guys to cover my production costs, the briskets, editing, that kind of stuff, as opposed to paying me a commission when you buy one of these things. I want to be able to give you my full, honest opinion of this thing without trying to sell you this thing. And that's what's going to happen tomorrow when we go to cut these things open. So they said they'd be fine with them. They gave me the Woolly Bully, covered my production costs, and now I'm gonna be able to give you my full honest review and not have to worry about trying to say nice things about it and trying to sell you one of these things. So far, I think it's great. I will have a discount code for you guys with a discount at the end of the video. Be sure and stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at lunchtime. All right, y'all, it is the next day, right around just before lunch, actually, and it is definitely a dreary day today. I may have to pull the canopy back over. I'm trying to do this as fast as I can without getting rained on. It's been a dreary morning. Now, both briskets have finished. The Woolly Bully one finished, of course, first. Did very well. Got it back on the kettle like I showed you last night. The one without the Woolly Bully took a little longer, about an hour and a half before it got to 180, and the fat was rendered where I wanted it. I wrapped it in butcher paper, put it back on the kettle for about 2 hours, and it finished at 203. Both of them finished at 203. I probed them both beautifully at 203. We'll see how we did there, but definitely it felt tender throughout the entire brisket. So, pulled them out of the warming cabinet. It's been about 12, 13 hours in the warming cabinet at 150, and here they are. Let's get them unwrapped, take a look at them, and see how they did. Now, we're going to compare a number of different things, weather dependent, on what we're talking about. Things like juiciness, tenderness, bark formation, how long it took to get the temperature, how long it took to cook, actually. We obviously, the Woolly Bully was a lot faster. We'll look at smoke ring, a number of different things we'll kind of look at and talk about as I go here. But let's go ahead and get them out and take a look at both of them. We'll open the non-Woolly Bully one first and take a look at it. All right, guys, here's the Woolly Bully one, and here's the non-Woolly Bully one. This one, obviously, the bark is not nearly as good as this one. I think a lot of that's because of the fact I had some drainage and some pooling. I had to pour it off, and I lost some bark because of that, but that's what happens. There's a little bit here as we speak. That's what happened here, I believe. Now, it's got a lot of fat on it. You see the jiggle of these. They're really looking really good. Very pleased with that so far. Wait till we cut it open and see how we did. But here are the two briskets up close from the bark formation for you. Again, we use Grumpy's Amped All-Purpose Rub on these. All right, guys, let's cut these open and see how we did. Let's start with the non-Woolly Bully when I cut it open. Set this one over to the side. Cut this open. It feels really good, guys. We'll cut it in half here, right below the flat, right below the point, I mean. Looks really good, folks. Real pleased with that one. Got some good juices flowing out of it. Looks really good. I don't squeeze my briskets. I don't think that's the right thing to do. They should be juicy on their own. But there you go. So now let's cut open. Look, it's got a decent smoke ring there. Definitely got a decent smoke ring. So let's cut open the Woolly Bully one, and we'll compare smoke rings between the two. Here we go. Looks pretty good. Very juicy brisket, very tender. I don't see much difference in the smoke ring between the two. Let's get the two flats here. This is the non-Woolly Bully and this is the Woolly Bully. I don't see much difference in the smoke ring there. Both look really, really good though. Very pleased with both of these. Now let's get some slices off of them. And here we go. Okay. Feeling good, guys. This is the Woolly Bully one. Take a slice here in the middle. Good bend test for you, to say the least. Looks really good there. It's a pretty thick piece too, to be honest with you, but it's still bending really, really well, holding up really well. Holding up under its own weight very easily. Now let's try the brisket that didn't have the Woolly Bully and see how it does slices wise. So guys, I was real pleased with the bark formation on these. Even though the bark's not great over here, I think it definitely was my pooling was an issue for me. So let's see how we did on the non-Woolly Bully brisket. Good bend test as well. Doesn't feel quite as supple as the non-Woolly Bully one, or the Woolly Bully one, I mean. There's the bend test, no problem. The pull test, no problem. The bend test is great. Not quite as floppy as the Woolly Bully one. But really good looking slices here. Let me just see these. The non-Woolly Bully's on top, the Woolly Bully one's here on the bottom. Both slices look really, really good. Can't tell much difference, which is definitely a win for the Woolly Bully because we obviously finished the Woolly Bully faster. Now the big test is gonna be, well actually let's check the point as well. Let's do that first. That looks absolutely delicious. This is a piece off the Woolly Bully brisket from the point. See that okay. Really pleased with that brisket. Now let's cut a piece off of the point from the non-Woolly Bully brisket. Okay, here's the non-Woolly Bully brisket. Good looking up close view of it. So there's our pieces of the point from the non-Woolly Bully brisket. Now let's try and see how these things taste. Let's take a piece of the Woolly Bully brisket. Let me show you the pull test here. Oh gosh, guys, just very simple and easy to pull apart. All right, guys, cheers. This is the Woolly Bully brisket off the Weber Kettle. Here we go. It's absolutely divine, guys. That is fantastic brisket. I think it's that rub. No, it really is a good rub, y'all, but man, that's a really well cooked brisket. Very tender, very juicy. My big concern here, guys, with the Woolly Bully getting done so fast, I was afraid the connective tissue, the collagen, would not turn to gelatin after the brisket fat rendered so fast. It rendered very quickly, 7.5 hours. It was very, very well rendered. So I was concerned that it would get done before the connective tissue transformed down to gelatin, but it did not. That was a very tender bite, as you can tell, but very tender, great cooked brisket. Now let's try the one with the non-Woolly Bully. I don't want to do that. What am I cutting? All right, pull test, guys. Again, very easy, a little bit tougher, a little bit thicker of a piece, but it was a little tougher to pull apart there than the Woolly Bully one was. But I think it's a little thicker too, so. Cheers, guys. Here's the non-Woolly Bully Kettle brisket. That is fantastic as well. My goodness, guys, I'm real pleased with both these briskets. With the trouble I had with the rain and all the stuff that I had going on, I'm really pleased with these briskets. They did really, really well. Now let's try a bite. All right, guys, here we go. I'm not going to eat the whole thing. I'll take the bottom bite where there's more fat. Here we go. Cheers, guys. This is Point from the Woolly Bully brisket. Guys, that's so well cooked. That is absolutely delicious. Oh my goodness. Now let's go for the non-Woolly Bully brisket and see how we did here. All right, here we go, guys. Non-Woolly Bully brisket, the Point. Here we go. Incredibly tender. I'm sorry. Incredibly tender, very juicy. Guys, I'm telling you, the thing I see so far between the two, the bark formation, I think was probably pretty equivalent. I do believe that the bark formation on the Woolly Bully brisket might have been a little bit of the pooling factor I had, a little bit of moisture I had there. The Woolly Bully brisket also got done a lot quicker, got the temperature a lot faster, and like I said in the video earlier on, it took a minute for it to get to my exact temp that I wanted. All right, folks, here's my final summation on the Woolly Bully. I think you should definitely get one, but now remember, I don't make a dime if you buy one of these, so this is just my opinion. I think the savings you get on charcoal is well worth the investment, but more importantly to me, I think that you definitely are going to save a ton of time using the Woolly Bully. This brisket, the Woolly Bully brisket, got to wrapping at 7.5 hours. The fat was rendered enough to wrap at 7.5, whereas the non-Woolly Bully brisket took about 11.5. Huge difference. We're talking about 4 hours difference there, guys. And now I know there's differences in briskets, of course, but I'm telling you, 4 hours is not typical. That was very much the Woolly Bully had a lot to do with that. Now, my concern with that, though, was that the fat would render, but then the brisket wouldn't have enough time to transfer the collagen into gelatin, and it definitely did that. You saw how tender the brisket was, and yet it still held up under its own weight. So it did a really good job with fat render as well as transforming collagen into gelatin. Wonderful job there. Everything was tender, everything was juicy, the flavor was spot on, beautiful. The fat was rendered so nicely. Both of them did really good, but I tell you, I think the savings of time and charcoal both on the Woolly Bully validated purchase there. It's up to you, of course. Now, if you do decide to get one, use the code of GRUMPY at checkout and you're going to save 10%. I'll put a link to their website and so forth down below in the description, and the code and so forth. But you'll save 10%. That's significant savings. That's pretty cool. So by all means, check those out. See if it fits your budget and see if it's something you want to do. I think you'd love to have one. So, guys, I hope you got some value out of this. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We would greatly appreciate that. Until next time, I'll meet you at the smoker.